Tyler Evans wasn't the kind of teenager who made noise in the neighborhood. He didn't throw parties, he didn't blast music, and he certainly didn't cause drama. For most of his life, the residents of Wisteria Pines barely noticed him. That changed the day Mr. Graham pulled up in a black Lexus and walked to Tyler's porch with a leather briefcase and an air of quiet authority. From the moment he stepped out of the car, someone was watching. Across the street, behind half-closed Venetian blinds, Karen Mulrooney's eyes narrowed. She was already scribbling in her little green HOA notebook. Thursday, 5:47 p.m. Unknown male, mid-60s, possibly armed with briefcase. She tilted her head and zoomed in with her phone. "No ID badge," she muttered. "Doesn't belong." Karen wasn't just any neighbor. She was the self-appointed protector of Wisteria Pines, a 5-year HOA board member with no official title, but an abundance of time, binoculars, and complaints. Some called her dedicated. Most called her a nuisance. She didn't care. Tyler greeted Mr. Graham with a respectful nod. "Hi, sir." The man gave a calm smile. "Evening, Tyler. Ready for the quiz prep?" Karen's hand froze mid-scribble. "Quiz prep." She sniffed with contempt. "Probably code," she muttered. She watched them sit at the patio table, books open, papers spread, disguising a transaction as tutoring. Clever. She grabbed her phone and snapped 3 photos. One of Mr. Graham's license plate, one of him leaning over Tyler's textbook, and one wide angle of the house. 5 minutes later, she was logged into the HOA's complaint portal, typing rapidly. "I'm reporting unauthorized commercial activity at 114 Juniper Lane. A strange man, unknown to the neighborhood, is consistently seen entering the premises weekly. I have photo evidence. Potentially dangerous. Please investigate immediately. Karen M." She hit send, with a flourish. Back on the porch, Tyler was oblivious. He was halfway through a complex algebra problem when his mom stepped out with lemonade. "Everything okay out here?" she asked. Mr. Graham looked up. "All good, Mrs. Evans. Tyler's doing excellent today." Karen's lips curled. "Mrs. Evans. So they're on a first-name basis. How charming." She paced in her living room, fueled by righteous fury. No background check, no school credentials. Just shows up and starts tutoring. Not in my neighborhood. By the time Mr. Graham left that evening, Karen had compiled a 2-page dossier, complete with timelines, speculations, and screenshots. She didn't just want the HOA to issue a warning. She wanted this man banned. And yet, as much as she told herself it was about safety, something deeper stirred beneath the surface. Mr. Graham's calm demeanor irritated her. He didn't flinch under her glare. He didn't rush to leave. He carried himself like someone used to being in control. Someone who didn't fear authority, and Karen was the authority. Or so she believed. When Mr. Graham's car pulled away, Karen stepped onto her porch and stared at the Evans house with icy precision. "You'll regret ignoring me," she whispered. Unseen by Karen, Tyler's mother stood inside her kitchen, watching her. She raised an eyebrow and muttered under her breath, "Here we go again." But even she had no idea that the man Karen was so determined to destroy was far more than just a tutor, and that by poking this particular bear, Karen had just made the worst mistake of her life. 2 days later, Tyler's mum found a cream-coloured envelope taped to their front door. No stamp, no return address, just their house number, written in bold Sharpie across the front. She peeled it open with mild irritation. Inside was a single printed sheet, bearing the HOA's letterhead, official-looking, but oddly aggressive in tone. Notice of violation. You are hereby warned that unauthorized business activity appears to be occurring at your residence. This is in direct violation of Article 4, Section 3B of the Wisteria Pines Covenant. Cease and desist immediately, or further action may be taken. No signature, no details, just vague threats. Tyler's mom stared at it, baffled. Business activity. What are they talking about? She murmured. Then it hit her. She turned slowly to look across the street. Karen's car sat in the driveway. Her blinds slightly tilted open. A camera lens glinted from the shadows, like a sniper's scope. Tyler entered the room, moments later, backpack slung over one shoulder. Hey, what's up? She handed him the letter without a word. He read it once, twice, then exhaled sharply. You've got to be kidding me. She's going after Mr. Graham, his mom said flatly. She thinks the tutoring is… what? A business? A crime? She thinks everything is a crime. Tyler muttered, slumping into a chair. This is harassment. He's just helping me with college prep. His mother crossed her arms. Well, if she wants a fight, she's about to get one. But Tyler wasn't convinced. Don't poke her. You know how she gets. She doesn't let go. That evening, they made a point to continue their regular tutoring session as usual, right on the porch. They weren't hiding. They had nothing to hide, but the tension in the air was undeniable, like storm clouds gathering. Across the street, Karen sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by printed screenshots, grainy photos, and a freshly annotated copy of the HOA handbook. She wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I gave them a chance to stop, she told her cat Tinsel. They ignored me. Now it's escalation. She opened the HOA's forum and clicked New Thread, Subject. Neighborhood Safety Concern. Strange Man Seen. Weekly at 1 and 14 Juniper Fellow Residents. I feel compelled to share that a suspicious individual, unfamiliar to our community, has been repeatedly seen at the Evans residence during odd hours. No ID, no clear purpose. This may be a tutoring ruse, but I suspect otherwise. I've notified the board. For the safety of our children, please remain vigilant. She clicked post with a satisfied smile. The next morning, Tyler found the thread already gathering views and comments. One neighbor asked if there was any proof. Another sarcastically replied, "Is this another Karen special?" But a third chimed in, "Better safe than sorry." Tyler's stomach sank. That afternoon, when Mr. Graham arrived, his movements seemed slightly more measured. He noticed the stares from passing cars. He noticed Karen, now brazenly standing on her porch, with arms crossed and phone ready. He said nothing at first, but as he packed up at the end of the session, he paused and looked Tyler's mom in the eyes. "She's escalating," he said calmly. "I've seen this pattern before." "We didn't want to bother you with it," she replied. "Didn't think it would become this." Mr. Graham gave a tight smile. "It already is this, but don't worry. I have my own way of handling these things." He turned and walked toward his car, every step precise and deliberate. Karen filmed the entire thing from her porch, lips pressed into a self-satisfied smirk. She had no idea what kind of man she was provoking, and she had no clue. He'd already begun the paperwork to take her down, by the book. Thursday nights had become a battleground. Tyler sat on the porch, notebook balanced on his knees, trying to focus on the complex algebra problems. Mr. Graham patiently explained. The summer air was thick with humidity, cicadas droning in the background, but the usual calm was shattered by a sharp voice, piercing through the quiet. Karen's voice. She stormed across the Evans lawn like a hurricane, her heels clicking loudly on the concrete walkway. Her phone was held high, recording every step. "Who?" Are you? What are you doing here? This is a private residence, not a classroom. She barked, eyes blazing with self-righteous fury. Tyler froze, startled. Mr. Graham rose slowly, his face an impenetrable mask. Mrs. Mulrooney, he said evenly, you are trespassing on private property. Please leave immediately. Karen didn't flinch. She took a step closer, invading his personal space. You don't get to intimidate this neighborhood with your secret lessons. I'm protecting our community, she spat. Tyler's mother hurried outside, placing herself between Karen and Mr. Graham. Karen, this is harassment. You need to stop, she said firmly. Karen ignored her. Instead, she raised her phone, waving it like a weapon. I've already filed complaints with the HOA and the police. This man is a danger. The tension thickened as neighbors peeked out their windows, some filming the confrontation. Karen's actions were growing more brazen by the week. Mr. Graham's voice, lowered but remained firm. Your accusations are baseless. I am here as a tutor, nothing more. If you do not leave, I will call the police. Karen sneered. Go ahead. Maybe they'll finally see what's going on here. Tyler's mom dialed 911 as Karen stood her ground. Within minutes, a patrol car pulled into the cul-de-sac, lights flashing silently under the moonlight. Officer Daniels stepped out and approached the group carefully. What seems to be the problem tonight? He asked. Karen wasted no time. This man is trespassing and operating an illegal business at 114 Juniper. I've reported this multiple times. Officer Daniels turned to Mr. Graham. Sir, can you confirm what's going on here? Mr. Graham nodded calmly. I'm tutoring Tyler Evans. There is no business, no commercial activity, just private educational support. The officer glanced at the phone, recording Karen was holding. Mom, recording without consent on private property can be an issue. Are you willing to cooperate? Karen's eyes flickered with annoyance, but she nodded. Officer Daniels sighed. For now, I'm going to ask everyone to keep the peace and resolve this through the HOA. Karen glared, but backed off. As the police car pulled away, Karen whispered to herself, this isn't over. But what Karen didn't see was the small glint of satisfaction in Mr. Graham's eyes. That night, after the encounter, he sat alone in his study, carefully reviewing the recordings Karen had unknowingly captured. Her voice, her threats, her trespassing, all meticulously documented. He had seen her type before. Official letters, complaints, and threats. But now, she had stepped over the line, and he was ready to respond. The following evening, a calm settled over 114 Juniper Lane. The warm glow of porch lights softened the edges of the day's turmoil. But beneath the surface, something powerful was stirring. Tyler's mum opened the front door, just as Mr. Graham stepped off the porch. His usual calm replaced by a serious intensity. In his hand, he held a thick envelope, official-looking, embossed with a gold seal. She accepted it hesitantly. What's this? She asked. Mr. Graham's eyes met hers steadily. This is my judicial commission. I am a retired state judge and currently a legal consultant for the state's Judicial Ethics Board. Tyler's mom blinked, stunned. You never mentioned that before. He smiled faintly. It's not relevant to tutoring, but with Karen's behavior escalating, I felt you should know who you're dealing with. A knock sounded at the door. Karen's voice came through the intercom downstairs, sharp and demanding. Mrs. Evans, you need to address this harassment immediately. My reports to the HOA and police are being ignored. Tyler's mum shook her head. Ignore her. She's crossing a line. Mr. Graham nodded. And now we take control of the situation. Inside, Mr. Graham pulled out his phone and made a call. His voice was low, but firm. Yes, it's him. We have a situation. I want legal protections in place. Before she escalates further, he hung up and turned back toward the porch, eyes narrowing. Karen was not just a meddling neighbor. She was a threat. Later that night, Mr. Graham sat in his study, reviewing the week's recordings. Karen's voice, loud and angry. Her footsteps invading private property. Her false accusations, all captured in crystal clarity. He compiled the evidence carefully, noting each infraction, and then he drafted his own letter. Not to the HOA, no. This one went straight to the County Sheriff's Department and the HOA board. It outlined Karen's aggressive harassment, the false accusations, and her multiple breaches of privacy and trespassing. Karen had no idea. The next HOA meeting was scheduled for the following week. Mr. Graham prepared to unveil a side of Karen none of the neighbors had seen before. Because Karen had made one fatal mistake. She had targeted a man who knew the law better than anyone in the neighborhood, and he was ready to make her pay. Tyler's mom looked at Mr. Graham. "Do you really think this will work?" He smiled thinly. "She won't know what hit her." Outside, the streetlights flickered, casting long shadows across Karen's house, and in the dark, she plotted her next move. For Karen, the weeks that followed were a fevered dance of obsession. She wasn't just watching the Evans house anymore. She was staking it out every evening after dinner. She'd position herself behind her living room window, armed with binoculars and her phone's zoom lens. Her fingers flew over the HOA forum, updating her neighborhood watch thread with increasingly alarmist posts. Tonight, I witnessed the Tutor park his car for nearly 2 hours. No visible business license displayed. Is this normal? Why is he so secretive? What is he hiding? She even started following Mr. Graham's car as he arrived, noting license plate numbers and times. But what she didn't realize was that the man she was stalking was not merely tutoring a teenager. He was also an expert in the law. An expert with years of courtroom experience and no tolerance for harassment. One evening, as Karen once again trained her phone camera on the Evans porch, she caught Mr. Graham's eye. He didn't look angry. He didn't look afraid. He looked amused. That night, after the tutoring session ended, Mr. Graham stayed behind. He had installed discreet audio and video recording equipment on the porch, perfectly legal under the state's consent laws, especially with the homeowner's permission. Karen's voice rose in anger outside. Mr. Graham's cameras captured every word. "Stop lying! You're breaking the law! I'm calling the HOA and the police again," Karen shouted from across the street, waving her phone like a badge of honor. But to Mr. Graham, her tantrum was a goldmine. He spent the following days compiling every snippet of her harassment, the shouting, the threats, the trespassing, the false claims. Tyler's mom reviewed the footage with a growing sense of relief. "This is exactly what we need," she said. "Proof that it's not us causing trouble. It's Karen." Meanwhile, Karen's posts grew more frantic and desperate. "Neighbors, don't trust the Evans household. They are hiding something. The HOA needs to act now." The HOA board began receiving copies of Mr. Graham's compiled evidence, and whispers started to circulate about Karen's behavior. Neighbors who once tolerated her complaints now exchanged uneasy glances. One neighbor confided to Tyler's mom, "I always thought Karen was just being overbearing, but now it seems like she's crossed a line." At the next HOA meeting, tension filled the air. Karen arrived early, confident and armed with her printed complaints. But Mr. Graham was ready. With calm precision, he played the videos and audio recordings. The room fell silent as Karen's own voice echoed through the speakers. catching every aggressive word. The HOA board members exchanged looks of shock. When the presentation ended, the chairwoman spoke softly. "Karen, your actions are no longer welcome in this community. We are issuing a formal warning, and if this behavior continues, further legal action will be taken." Karen's face drained of color. Outside, as the meeting adjourned, police officers approached her. "Karen Mulrooney, you are under investigation for harassment and stalking," one officer said quietly. Karen gasped. "This is a mistake. I was protecting the neighborhood." Mr. Graham watched from a distance, satisfied. The trap was set, and now it was closing. The air inside the Wisteria Pines Community Center was thick with tension, the kind that made even the flickering fluorescent lights seem harsher. Residents filled the folding chairs, whispering in clusters. Some were curious, others wary, but all eyes were fixed on the front where Karen Mulrooney stood, clutching her folders of complaints like a shield. Opposite her sat Mr. Graham, calm and composed, his demeanor sharp but controlled. Behind him, Tyler and his mother sat quietly, trying to keep their nerves in check. The HOA president called the meeting to order, her voice steady but grave. "We are here today to address repeated complaints concerning conduct within our neighborhood, specifically regarding Ms. Karen Mulrooney's allegations against the Evans family and Mr. Graham." Karen's chest puffed with righteous indignation. "I am simply trying to protect our community. This man has been conducting an unlicensed business from a private residence, putting our children at risk." Mr. Graham's eyes flicked to Karen. Before he spoke, his voice calm but authoritative. "I am a retired judge and a legal consultant. I have no commercial interest here, only a commitment to helping a young man prepare for his future. Ms. Mulrooney's claims are baseless and have escalated to harassment," the room murmured. Karen shot back. "Don't pretend to intimidate us with your title. I have evidence. The board has seen it." With a slow gesture, Mr. Graham motioned to a laptop set up on the side. The projection screen flickered to life, playing videos and audio of Karen's confrontations, the trespassing, the shouting, the phone recordings, capturing her aggressive harassment. The crowd grew silent as Karen's voice echoed in the room. Accusing, hostile, relentless, faces hardened. Some exchanged uneasy glances. The board members whispered among themselves, weighing the growing weight of the evidence. The HOA president cleared her throat. "Ms. Mulrooney, the board has reviewed the evidence. Your behavior violates our community guidelines and local laws regarding harassment and trespassing. We must take action." Karen's face twisted in disbelief. "You can't do this. I'm protecting us," one board member spoke firmly. "Your actions have endangered the safety and peace of others. This is not protection. It is harassment," the president continued. "Effective immediately. You are suspended from all HOA activities and community watch programs. Further, we will cooperate fully with law enforcement in any investigation." Karen's lips trembled. The room was closing in. Then a sharp voice cut through the tension. Officer Daniels stepped forward. "Ms. Mulrooney, we are here to inform you that you are under arrest for repeated harassment, stalking, and trespassing related to your conduct toward Mr. Graham and the Evans family." Gasps rippled through the room. Karen's protests fell on deaf ears as officers moved in. She was handcuffed, her eyes wild with disbelief and fury. Outside the community center, Mr. Graham exhaled deeply. Tyler stepped up beside him. "Thank you. You saved us." Mr. Graham smiled faintly. "It was the law, and sometimes the law is the only thing standing between order and chaos." As Karen was led away, neighbors watched in stunned silence. The peaceful veneer of wisteria pines had cracked, but justice had prevailed. The days after Karen's arrest brought an uneasy calm to Wisteria Pines. The neighborhood buzzed quietly, not with gossip, but with cautious relief. The storm had passed, but the damage lingered like a bruise beneath the surface. Tyler's mom sat on the porch, watching the sun dip low, the warm orange light softening the edges of a long, difficult week. Mr. Graham was nearby, reviewing legal documents, his sharp mind already preparing for the next steps. "Do you think she'll fight this?" Tyler's mum asked quietly. Mr. Graham paused, folding the papers. "Karen has made a series of poor decisions. Legally, she faces several charges: harassment, stalking, trespassing. The evidence is overwhelming, but people like her often don't admit fault easily." Tyler sat down beside them, exhaustion heavy in his eyes. "I just want to move on, focus on college prep, not Karen's next attack." Mr. Graham smiled gently. "That's exactly what you should do." But Karen's arrest sent shockwaves through the HOA board as well. At their next meeting, the focus shifted from petty disputes to rebuilding trust. The HOA president addressed the members. "We've learned a lot from this situation, how unchecked behavior can escalate and harm an entire community. Moving forward, we will establish clearer policies on neighbor relations and harassment prevention." One board member nodded. "And we'll work on better communication channels so concerns can be addressed before they spiral." Across the neighborhood, neighbors tentatively returned to their routines, some still wary but hopeful. A few even reached out to Tyler's family, offering apologies or quiet support. But Karen was far from finished. In the small jail cell where she sat, her mind raced with anger and denial. The consequences of her obsession were only just beginning to settle in. Her phone calls to lawyers were frantic, desperate. "They'll never get away with this," she hissed into the receiver. "I'm going to fight back." Yet even as she vowed vengeance, the walls closed in. The evidence was damning. The witnesses were many, and the law was no longer on her side. For Tyler, his mother, and Mr. Graham, life slowly began to regain its balance. One afternoon, Tyler found himself sitting across from Mr. Graham again, textbooks open, a fresh determination in his eyes. "You ready?" Mr. Graham asked with a smile. Tyler nodded. More than ever, outside, the neighborhood blossomed with spring's arrival. The wounds of the past season beginning to heal under warm sunlight, but beneath the surface, everyone knew the scars left by one woman's obsession would linger. A reminder that, sometimes, justice requires patience, courage, and knowing when to fight. Weeks passed, and the legal proceedings against Karen Mulrooney moved slowly through the system. The neighborhood tried to settle back into its rhythm, but Tyler and his family still felt a watchful eye on their lives. Then, one ordinary afternoon, the calm shattered. Tyler's mom was watering the garden when the mail carrier handed her a thick envelope, stamped with official seals. She hesitated, then opened it carefully. Inside was a letter from the State Judicial Ethics Board, from Mr. Graham's office. It read, "After thorough investigation, it has been determined that the behavior exhibited by Ms. Karen Mulrooney constitutes a violation of multiple civil statutes, including harassment and defamation. Additionally, given the severity of her actions and their impact on community welfare, we are recommending restrictions on her ability to participate in HOA activities and community affairs for a period of 5 years." Tyler's mum exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. But the letter contained more. "Furthermore, this case has set a precedent encouraging stricter guidelines nationwide on the misuse of homeowners association powers and the importance of legal oversight. She looked up as Mr. Graham approached, a rare smile touching his lips. "That's the twist," he said quietly. This wasn't just about Karen. It was about protecting the integrity of neighborhoods everywhere. Tyler grinned. "So you really are a hero." Mr. Graham chuckled. "I'm just a man who knows when to stand up and when to let the law do its work." Then, the unexpected. The HOA president invited Mr. Graham to join their board as a legal advisor, recognizing his invaluable guidance. And Karen, her sentence included mandatory counseling and community service, conditions carefully monitored. The neighborhood held a small gathering to celebrate new beginnings. Neighbors who had once kept to themselves now shared stories, laughter, and cautious hope as the sun set over wisteria pines. Tyler felt a new confidence settle within him. His tutor, his mentor, and now a friend, had turned a nightmare into a triumph, and Karen Mulrooney's reign of chaos was finally over.